What's up, guys? Welcome back to Daily Crypto Analysis. Today, what we're going to do is take a look at Bitcoin and its quarterly earnings. So what I've done is broken down Bitcoin per year by quarter. So we're going to look at this information and see if we can make any determinations about what might happen in the upcoming quarter four based on what has happened in the past. So you can see that the blue line essentially indicates what the average return per quarter is. Now, for quarter two and quarter four, I've actually included two numbers, and that's because I've included the total average and the total average excluding the first data point. And that's because these two data points are sort of outliers in the data. Back then, Bitcoin was much smaller and the price was, went on massive increases based on much smaller amounts of money that aren't necessarily indicative of the market today. So nonetheless, I've included both numbers so you can look and make any inferences that you'd like based on that. But let's break it down. So basically, quarter one, you can see on average has been up 69%. Quarter two, on average, has been up 43% if you exclude the 2011 data, and 219% if you include it. Quarter three has been by far, on average, our worst quarter, only being up 9% on average. Quarter four has been, on average, the best quarter. So if you include the Q4 2010 data, it's been up 114%. And if you exclude this data, it's been up 87% on average. So either way you break it down, it's been the best quarter if you exclude this 2000% increase in 2011. So then we could say, well, how often has the quarter been positive? And you can see 6 out of 11 times for Q1, 9 out of 11 times for Q2. So Q2 has been incredibly consistent that it's a positive month. So this was actually an aberration in data that we were negative this year. 6 out of 11 times for Q3 and 7 out of 11 times for Q4. So then we could ask ourselves, well, when has Q4 been negative and what has preceded it? So if we look at our average of 9%, we can see that in the quarters that Bitcoin has then been negative, it was preceded by a Q3 which underperformed the average Q3. So we have 2011 underperformed in Q3. It was below the 9% average. And sure enough, Q4 was negative. So then we have Q4 of 2014. And again, you can see Q3 was underperforming. And then 2018 and 2019. In those two quarters, Bitcoin in Q3 was only up 3%, underperforming the average, and down 23%, underperforming the average. In every other instance where Bitcoin outperformed the average in Q3, Bitcoin then went on to be above the average. Okay? So we can say that if you look at these here, in these instances, in 2012, 2013, 2017, and 2020, in those instances, when Bitcoin outperformed the average, Q4 went on to have a positive return. Only once did Bitcoin not have a huge return in Q4, and that was in 2012. And so we can say, well, what happened in 2012? Well, Q4 of 2012 was actually, while it specifically wasn't a huge quarter, it was in a run up to the peak that we saw in Q4 of 2013. So while it specifically wasn't a massive quarter, it was in a series of run-ups to get to, the $1,200 valuation we saw in at the end of Q4 of the next year. So it led up to this series where we had a 600% gain, 5%, 50%, and 400% consecutively. So that begs the question of where are we at now? And, if you subscribe to the theory that market cycles over time increase in length based on the fact that there's, more money in the market and it takes, significantly more money to drive the price up to these higher levels, then, I think it's fair to say that we could be looking at what could end up being, a big increase in Q4, or at least a positive Q4 in the setting of a larger run-up. I think a lot of the evidence supports that fact, and we'll just have to see how it plays out. But the data suggests that if we have a strong Q3, it typically leads to an exceptional Q4. So I think we'll have to let it play out and go from there. So I think that's it for today's video, guys. If you guys like this content, hit like and subscribe. Slap that notification icon. As usual, I appreciate you guys. And until next time, see ya.